we're gonna introduce ourselves as we go around the room, so if you wanna.
Vernon
Yeah,
Hildebrand.
well, when we get started here, once we get started, because we're on cable access, so.
Okay.
You're gonna be on TV.
Good evening, my name's Tom Marion, I'm chairman of the Public Works Committee. We are meeting at City Hall on Tuesday, February 4th at 5:30 PM in the first floor conference room. And with that, I'd like to go around the room and have the people introduce themselves.
Gary Holcamp.
Dave Laspa, city engineer.
Joe Eichstead, design engineer.
David Farnborough, Wisconsin Rapids City Times.
Vernon Hildebrand.
Virginia Hildebrand.
Scott Kellogg, alderperson.
Okay, with that, I'll call the meeting to order. Item number 2 is a request from Virginia and Vernon Hildebrand, 1421 Rosewood Avenue, and Dennis Crown, 1420 Rosewood Avenue, of the Rosewood subdivision for 3 streetlights within the subdivision on Rosewood Avenue at the 16th Street South, 15th Place South, and 14th Place South. David?
Okay. We have a request for a street light. In the past, we budgeted $5,000 for street lights and we put them in. I have the authority to order them in 1 per block in a residential area. We quit budgeting a number of years ago, so they need to come back to committee because we don't have any funds. You'll have to ask for funds to be taken out of contingency or reserve funds. The request is for the 3, you should have in your packet, the drawing that shows the 3 intersections on Rosewood Avenue. I got cost estimates from Water and Light to install them. 16th Street is $3,340. 15th Place is $2,842, and 14th Place is $3,870 for a total of $10,052. I checked with our police department. There hasn't been any accidents in the last 3 years at those intersections. So
But they're close.
we don't. Yeah,
I mean, there's some older people I know, our neighbor woman, she almost ran over somebody. She come back late in the evening.
Mm.
People were walking. Boom. I was just close. We are in the Wisconsin Rapids area now for quite a while. We've expanded here. And it's time we started looking like the city and being part of the city. I mean, you can't just fluff us off. We're the only ones that you're really building as far as some of these places. Start giving us something to show for this. I mean, that would put a lot of light in the whole subdivision there. If you put those 3 lights in there, that's just ideal, just exactly the way you got it stated up there. And I don't think it isn't. The amount of money, considering the taxes we're paying, I don't think it's being outrageous.
Now, just the poles would be wood poles, they're always wood poles, direct buried, but with an 8-foot aluminum arm and
35 feet high.
35 feet high and 150 watt high pressure sodium light. That's our standard street light. The cost, I guess, is because there isn't overhead electrical, everything's underground, so Water and Light will have to tunnel or bore down through to bring it up to poles and get power to the lights.
Is this I've gotten, as an older person, that would get these ads for streetlights, and is this the cheaper streetlight or LED? Is that cheaper to run? I don't know.
LED is cheaper to run. Water and Light hasn't gone to an LED other than Grand Avenue was LEDs. If you can see
Yeah.
the bright white light, this council specified that they wanted LEDs on Grand Avenue, but we haven't changed our specifications for regular streetlights. It's high pressure sodium has been the light of choice probably for the last 20 years.
I mean, if it's cheaper, and this is new it wouldn't be, this is just a separate area, so it's
Right.
not with other lights. And
Right.
if it's cheaper in the long run to maintain, it might be interesting to entertain the idea of LED and maybe how the height of the pole to illuminate more area. I don't know.
Usually in residential area, that's the height you'd go, for
Okay,
35 feet. But I don't have an estimate for LEDs. They're usually up front more. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but their electrical use, I think, is around, well, high pressure sodium is fairly efficient. Compared to an incandescent bulb, they use about 18% of the energy as an incandescent bulb.
Mm.
But high pressure sodium is quite a bit more efficient than an incandescent bulb, so. But I can get numbers from Water and Light. We, the city, have been trying to talk them into looking at that because it could save a lot of electricity over the years going to LEDs.
yeah, if we haven't done it for 20, as requests come forth, it'd be interesting to put in LED.
Yeah.
In the long run, since we haven't done it for 20 years, we might be able, in the long run, save some money.
David, if we did this, when would Water and Light be able to do it?
I believe so, but they probably
I
won't.
mean, when?
Oh,
In the
probably.
winter?
I'm guessing it wouldn't be till April
Yeah. spring.
Oh, yeah.
because of the,
Oh,
and so
The frost and everything.
frost.
Yeah.
So we'd have time to investigate the LEDs and
mhm.
let you know what the cost would be. Yeah, if it was an overhead line, they could do it anytime, but
Yeah,
now you're dealing with the snow and frost.
The main thing is to get at it when we can.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, to get the thing in.
Yeah, well, obviously, we didn't budget for it, so I get, and we can find money somewhere, Dave, if we want to.
Well, that's the key if you want to. I
Mhm.
mean, like I said, we're spending a lot of tax money there. We're expanding. And you want the area to look like it's part of the city, not part of Grand Rapids or something out in the country. We're supposed to be part of the city. Let's start looking like the city.
I drove over there last night just to get a sense of it, and I agree with you, that it's dark.
Mm, yeah.
The good news and bad news, I agree with you, it's dark and we should put some light. I'm not too sure about the 14th Street. The reason is, if you look at 14th Street, there's not much traffic on 14th. 15th, you have some traffic. You don't have any housing in this area.
No.
And I see 15th as traffic, and I see
But,
16th as traffic.
14.
That's
you
not
got-
14,
Yeah,
Berman.
well,
This is,
14, in fact, is where we have these handicapped people.
Oh,
And that's dark all the time at night. There's no light, no nothing.
yeah.
all right.
And one of these times, you're gonna have a problem here.
Right.
And then we're gonna have a lawsuit. And then it's gonna be too late, but you're gonna have to put stuff in by law.
Yeah,
You're kind of running on zero right there now with that thing. You got a lot of mentally, handicapped people. And if anything gets out of hand, they're somewhere along the line. That's always dark at night. They turn the lights on. And you gotta remember, you got an
Safety.
opportunity to put a little light on the situation.
Right.
That's why that area there should be lit.
Okay, I just was driving there, I didn't see too many homes, I saw this, but,
Yeah, I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying, but I say this other thing, this factor sits in there, and it's there. I mean, and like, they have lights on a little during the day, and then they shut everything down at night.
Yeah.
And at night is when the problem could develop. It hasn't so far, but
but you don't want it to.
let's try to prevent it before it does.
Right.
Dave?
Right now, I know of no legal requirement for the city to light the street. So we won't get sued because I'm not a lawyer, but I don't believe we'd ever get sued because there wouldn't be a light there.
But I really think we should light the street. I mean, it is dark. I drove over there and you make that turn. It's just dark. And like you said, in the summer, people walking around, less so in the winter.
There's a lot of people that walk around there, and it's not fair to them neither, that there's nothing. I got the neighbor next door, the one, in fact, her husband is one of them that complained here. She's always gotta take her dog out and all that stuff. And, it's pretty dark. She puts a light on of her own for a while, but I say that area should be lit up. Common sense tells you that. I mean, it's up to you people to final decision, but my gosh, remember, we're part of the city.
Oh, why don't, Dave, you check and see about the other,
And the LED.
yeah. The different, in the cost. As long as they can't do it till April anyhow, let's bring it back and, see the difference in price.
I think it's time to maybe, as lights are added,
Yeah,
consider it.
right. I think so too. Bring the city up to date.
Is that,
So is that
I'll make that motion
to do it, or?
well, just to him to bring back the information about the other lights and how much, the difference in the cost.
Scott?
Well,
Okay.
Well, I would make a motion for
Okay.
lights in.
Okay, I guess Marion, your motion will die for lack of a second.
Oh, I would second. sorry.
oh.
Okay, fine, I would second that. I mean, I would just like to know.
Yeah.
For future reference.
okay, then we bring back the cost next meeting?
Mhm.
And then make a decision on lighting, or?
Well, I would make a motion that there should be lighting. I wouldn't want someone hit, and it is dark. I visited that location.
Mhm.
I mean, that's why I'm sticking my neck out on this. It isn't benefiting me per se. But I'm looking at some of these other ones, and I felt it's my place to at least open my mouth and start, try to get something done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'll
I
second your
think,
motion.
well, I think we'll first vote on yours, which is to
Yeah.
bring back a cost estimate
Okay,
next month. Is that what you wrote down, Dave?
Mhm.
Yeah.
With LED lights versus this. So committee, if there's nothing, then we can have another vote
Yeah.
like after. If there's nothing else on that, we'll vote on that part. So committee, all those in favor of that, respond by aye.
aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. So that is. Now, Scott,
I'll make a motion to install lighting on the 16th Street, 15th Street, and 14th Street of, was it Rosewood Avenue?
And I'll second the motion.
any further discussion? David, can you, I guess, again, have where the money would come from?
Yeah, at the next meeting,
Okay,
I'll get where the funding would come from.
contingency or whatever. If there's nothing else, committee, we can vote, and that's to put the lights in at the 3 requested places. All those in favor respond by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it, so. Yet to be determined of what type of lights.
Well, that I'll leave to the power that be.
And not until spring or May or sometime.
But then if you guys don't mind, we're gonna leave.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're
This
welcome.
goes through,
Thanks for coming.
this goes through the whole council. So that's where the final decision.
Naturally,
is
yes,
made.
I understand.
Okay.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Item number 3, and that's to adopt updated chapter 32 entitled Construction Site Erosion.
Yes, take it along.
Joe, you want, or who's?
Yep, and I'll take this one. So this is just kind of tidying up our existing ordinance. The reason we're bringing it forward is DNR had changed their ordinance, or their code, their regulation at the end of 2010. And our current ordinance modeled that regulation. And so when they changed it, they went through and changed a lot of details. So this revised ordinance, construction site erosion, is basically a replica of the DNR regulation. So we're just kind of crossing Ts, dotting Is. There's not, the main components that changed in here were primarily the section 32.07 performance standards. That was the bulk of the changes for this particular ordinance. Otherwise, the legal and administrative language on the front end and the back end is very similar to the existing ordinance that we have currently.
Questions, committee?
It seems to be standard.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, our the current one is model ordinance. And the DNR said they weren't gonna make a new model ordinance, so we had somebody in our group make one and then distribute it to all the communities in the group. And
That's good.
so we've all just kind of tweaked it to match our formatting and, if there's any city-specific items that we had, but this one doesn't have any specific items.
Well, I'd entertain a motion, committee, on this.
I'll make a motion to accept the chapter 32 guideline.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second to adopt the updated chapter 32 construction site erosion guidelines. There's no other discussion, committee will vote. All those in favor respond by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, ayes have it. Item number 4, that's to adopt the updated chapter 35 entitled Post-Construction Stormwater Management Zone.
So very much for the same reason, to update this ordinance, but I'd just like to show you section 7 out of this one, the performance standards. There's one particular section.
How far back are you there, Joe?
Let's see. Page 5. Be 35.07.
5 full pages or?
5
Front and back?
front and back.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, page 3 right there.
0.7.
Okay.
What
yeah.
part of 0.7?
Part 3B, it's peak discharge, so a little over halfway down the
Yeah.
page. There's a section in here that we added that pertains to peak discharge. Primarily, there's particular areas in the city that, for instance, the section on East Street has peak discharge capacities. We dump into DOT's storm sewer piping, and they have restrictions on how much we can discharge into that pipe. And so we wanted to outline those types of locations in the ordinance for a couple of reasons. Let everybody know that is using this ordinance to put their permit applications together, but also as a reminder for us when we're reviewing plans that we have restrictions at these particular areas. So at the very bottom of the page, there's bullet points there. It goes on to the next page. Those are all the locations and the peak discharge restrictions that we had to do a little research in the files and stuff to come up with them. But I just want to point that out, that that's the only specific thing that we put in here that was in addition to the model ordinance for the DNR.
Any questions that come to mind, committee? Well, I'll make a motion that we adopt the updated chapter 33 entitled Post-Construction Stormwater Management Zoning.
I'll second
Any further discussion? Hearing none, committee will vote. All those in favor respond by aye.
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 Opposed? Ayes have it. Obviously, before the council meeting, if somebody thinks of something, call Joe up or whatever. Item number 5, and that's to adopt the updated chapter 340.008 entitled Truck Routes.
Okay, Adam, our planning economic development director, had a request for a truck route map for a possible trucking company coming into town. So we took a look at our truck route map, and it was somewhat out of date. Well, County Z, we've annexed a bunch of County Z, so we listed that. We added 25th Avenue was a truck route, and we added Industrial Street into our industrial park, and then a number of truck access routes, mainly from the New Page complex right here and the Jackson Street Bridge, they go up to RCH. And then all the roads in the West Side Industrial Park, and then 48th Street down to our Rapids East Commerce Center, and then the roads in the Rapids East Commerce Center. So it's basically updating our truck routes and truck access routes to what's being used now. So it's the truck routes are state highways, county highways, and a few streets that were built specifically for trucks. And then the truck access routes are just the routes we want them to use while servicing those industries. And then in the yellow on the map is our industrial our areas that are zoned industrial.
The truck routes all go up A Street, don't they? I mean, from one end of the city to the other.
Yeah, following Highway
Mhm,
13,
yeah.
1373 and 54.
Mhm.
If we had that 54 bypass.
Yeah.
Sure would be nice.
Have you talked to Doug lately about that?
He's mentioned that he's looking into it again, but I haven't said anything.
He's trying to get the city to kind of help him push it. So they're still talking about it.
Yeah, we have, well, some of the right of way in here, we the city have already
Mm-hmm.
have. We got a ways to go to Z, but a lot of the land is owned by Water and Light or the city.
As I say,
Mhm.
the city has.
Like talk about state surplus, and it'd be nice to finish that.
Right.
Port Edwards would like it, we want it, Nakusa would like it. Just silly not to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I know Doug has called the city a couple times to just talk to him, but hopefully we can kind of help the county to go forward with it. It would mean a lot on 8th Street.
It would,
You remove the truck traffic
Yeah.
versus,
Mm-hmm.
those logging trucks.
last time I checked, we were running around 10% trucks. 10% of the traffic, so 1 out of every 10 vehicles would be a truck.
Mm-hmm. And when you're on there, you think there's every other is a truck.
Well, I don't have any questions.
I don't
I guess
either,
if
no.
you come up with more, I guess Dave come back, but it's a good comprehensive list.
You want a motion to adopt that then?
Yeah.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second, to adopt chapter 340.008, which is entitled Truck Routes. With no further discussion, committee will vote. All those in favor respond by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the ayes have it. Item 6, professional services agreement with MSA Professional Services for analysis of stormwater facilities.
So previously, we've had an agreement very similar to this with MSA. We've gone through some amendments on a previous agreement to kind of update it from year to year, but this, we finally decided, let's have a new agreement rather than amending the previous one. So we've got $5,000 in our budget for 2014 for stormwater related services. We've got a preliminary list of just some things that we may request assistance on from them, assisting the city with BMP designs and best management practices like stormwater ponds, or updating our citywide model for sediment removal reporting, and reviewing development plans or any compliance permit requirements or any other items that may come up as the year progresses. So it's a not to exceed amount of $5,000, and so we only use what we need, and if we don't need it, then there's no strings attached. We don't spend any. If we don't need them, we don't spend any money.
Questions, committee, or anything? Well, I'll move that we enter into this agreement with MSA Professional Services.
I'll second it.
Okay. There's no further discussion. Committee will vote. All those in favor respond by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Item 7, review the proposed 2014 Public Works project schedule.
So
Joe, okay.
Sure. We're currently finishing up designs for the 2014 projects. We've done a little bit of work on some 2015 projects, but the point that we're at now, we're going to be setting up meetings with utility companies to go over our plans. So it would be Water and Light, We Energy, Solaris, Charter. They take a look at them and review our work and see if anything should be in conflict, and gives an idea of when we're going to be doing that work, if they have anything they need to relocate. We do have, for Oak Street and 4th Street, we do have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow evening at 6:30.
6:30.
At
St. John's Episcopal Church Parish Hall. We're just gonna go over the different alternatives with all the, there's 5 property owners. Because Oak Street is a streetscape street and we wanna keep up that concept. The question is.
What do you mean by streets?
It has decorative stamped concrete in it and decorative post-street lighting, just like the piece between 2nd and 3rd. One of the question is, do we wanna narrow the street up, we're gonna have wide sidewalks either way. Do we narrow the street up, have parking on one side, or then if we want parking on both sides, they're gonna have to buy right away from the north side of the street. So we're gonna talk to the property owners about that, and then the electrical is overhead. Water and Light would put it underground, but their estimate is $96,000 to put it underground, so that's something we gotta discuss.
Wow.
And then 4th Street has never been included in any of our streetscaping plans. We received word from the DOT, we are funded now on the reconstruction of East Grand Avenue. But the construction probably won't take place till 2017, and I'm being optimistic. It took 10 years on 1st Street, so I'm hoping to be done. But then we have to discuss 4th Street. Do we want to include that in our, because East Grand is proposed to be streetscapes, fancy street lights, decorative street lights, and so will Oak, so we'll gotta see if there's any, we'll like to meet in, and the church or and the United Way are directly on Fourth, if that's something they wanna see, or if we just keep it as grass boulevards. So that's what we're gonna be discussing tomorrow night.
Another thing, I don't know if this was on the schedule last month, but the Centralia parking lot that was moved to 2015.
See that?
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed to see that. That parking lot's terrible.
Yeah, it's showing some age.
Is that because of funding or?
There was some discussions with the mall owners and trying to coordinate, because the property line for the mall actually kind of cuts through the parking lot. And we were only gonna replace, the part of the parking lot that was on city property, but trying to coordinate something with the mall owners. And then 17th Avenue South, that water main break and sewer repair, that was with the soil borings. They haven't come in and done that yet, but I would imagine in the next few weeks that the contractor will come in and do those soil borings, and then we can send in for the permit with the railroad. The last I have is for the March public hearing where we've got 3rd Avenue from West Grand to Jackson Street from 2nd Avenue to 3rd Avenue. That's the water main replacement project, maybe a little bit of sewer work that we do as well. But for March, is that March 4th meeting?
Yeah, their next meeting would be March 4th. That's a 2015, these are 2015.
Yeah, it's a 2015 project. And then also included would be First Street North from Spring Street to 200 feet north of Poplar Street. So that was originally proposed in this year's budget, but due to funding, got kicked to 2015. So those are the two projects. And we do have some information that we're trying to update on our website regarding special assessments and public hearings, and kind of reformatting the documentation that's going to get sent to property owners to help with the questions and provide some additional information to help answer those
Before the meeting.
before the meeting.
Yeah.
That's what they get in the mail or.
It was approved in the 14th budget, but it's being postponed because of funding.
But it
Why
never,
would you have to have a
it was
hearing again?
proposed in the 14, but got booted out.
Oh, it never had a hearing?
No,
We haven't had a hearing yet, no.
Oh, okay.
yeah, the hearings are actually separate from the budget process, so
Okay.
they run parallel.
I thought maybe it was approved and then it was later on postponed.
No, it's only been, it's one of our proposals, and
Okay.
it didn't go very far yet.
For scheduling, we try to have the hearings done ahead of the budget approval, because of, if it doesn't get approved in the budget, then, or if it does get approved and we haven't had the hearing yet, we kind of are scrambling to get caught up. But
We're trying to be 2 years ahead of with completed projects and completed hearings, so the budget gets a lot tighter.
You have to be.
In the past, sometimes we've been designing when they've been ready to start digging, so we don't like to do that. Well, I just mentioned, not a lot on Washington Street, other than, I think I got the final final requirements for the environmental document. We've submitted the 60% complete plans to the DOT and all the environmental documents, so hopefully they'll sign off, and then the next step is starting to contact the property owners to acquire the right-of-way. So I was hoping to be farther along, but gotta wait till
Takes
environmental
time,
documents done.
Any other questions, committee, on the work schedule?
No.
Okay. And item 8, review the referral list.
What did I get in the packet?
the last one, or
Oh,
the
got it.
2014 one we acted up this evening. Was just for street lighting out in the Rosewood subdivision. So that one can come off. And David, about the 2013 one.
Right. I've got handouts too, if you, that explains it better, but we were going by a policy that Dale Hexum, our former Director of Public Works, had written about dredging ponds that they go through the Public Works Committee. And he wrote it up, put it in our policy book, and then we started, well, I guess Joe found it, that after that policy, the Public Works Committee had met again about the ponds between Lincoln Street or Airport and Lincoln Street, and they declined to dredge any of the ponds, so that overruled the policy, so we could take it off the referral list. By our city policy, we won't do them. Well, the main factor is those ponds don't provide any benefit to the city as a whole. We don't get any credit from the DNR, and they're an amenity to each property owner. It's their private little pond. The public doesn't get benefit from them at all, so we probably shouldn't use, and that's what Public Works Committee decided back in 2002, that we shouldn't be dredging them. So they overruled the original policy of people being able to come into Public Works and,
Want them to be dredged.
yeah. So I guess based on that, I contacted the Hafermans that made the request and told them that that's what the council had said. So I guess based on that, we can take their referral off the referral list.
Well, that gets us to two left.
And I think with
Street light.
talking about street lighting and looking into the difference in the cost of the lights, even with Kirkpatrick's, we're going forward with it.
Yeah, well, I've been unable to get a typical design from, usually the suppliers will give me a typical lighting pattern on a residential, what height, what spacing, but I haven't been able to get that yet, so. But
That's what I was wondering, about 35 feet high. It has to be that, or it could be higher. It might give you more illumination, you know.
Yeah, it's usually the supplier of the luminaire will tell you the mounting height and based on the type of street that you're on and the spacing. 'Cause
That might be different than if we have an LED.
Yeah.
Then we might be able to get more lighting,
Right.
you know.
Right, there's two things to look at. Usually in a residential area, I think it's about a 1/2 foot candle underneath the light. And then they base the spacing on it, call it uniformity. You don't want somebody to go bright, dark, bright, dark. You gotta have kind of a smooth, because if you go from bright to dark,
Yeah.
it's worse than having any light.
All right,
Also,
we're to our last item, that's to adjourn, I guess. First, I'd like to thank River Cities Community Access for televising us live, I do believe, this evening, and we'll be showing on a tape delayed basis at other times too. And one of our local papers covering us, so City Times, and so with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Committee, all those in favor respond by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, and the meeting is over.